What's going on, guys? So I'm going to make this video kind of quick and to the point because the topic doesn't really need to be drug out too long, but hopefully it's something that's going to be interesting for those of you who watched the videos that I shot in Salt Lake City, Utah at ROA Off Road and started criticizing videos because some of the RVs that we looked at were manufactured overseas in China. Let's talk about that. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, so in front of me, we have my F450. Did you know that the F450 is kind of, it's become a staple of my channel. Everyone really loves this truck. Shoot, I think most people who don't even care for Ford tend to like the F450 because they wish that the manufacturer they do like, whether it be General Motors or Ram or even Toyota, built a similar truck. I know Ram has a 4500, 5500 series truck, but they don't have a pickup truck version of it. And this pickup truck version of an F450 makes it really desirable for folks who want the bigger brakes, the bigger axle half shafts, the increased capabilities that the F450 give you. That said, though, you guys may recall before we put these US manufactured Alcoa wheels on this truck, it had a kind of Alcoa looking wheel. And if you get an F450 today, you're still going to get those Alcoa looking wheels on the truck. Who do you think manufactures those wheels? Where do you think they're manufactured? Overseen in the US, but it's a Chinese manufacturer that actually make those wheels. And just about every other wheel that comes on your vehicle is probably manufactured in China or somewhere else in Asia. That said, does it make it a bad wheel? I guess some folks will probably reevaluate their wheel after watching this if they didn't know that, and they're going to think it's a horrible wheel. And they may even take the wheel off their vehicle and look for a US manufactured wheel to replace it simply because they don't want to support Chinese manufactured products. If that's you, that's entirely up to you. But just keep in mind, a lot of stuff you own, a lot of stuff you're probably watching this video on, a lot of stuff you're going to be replying to in the comments with was manufactured in China. And then right here in front of us is the beautiful 2023 GMC CR1500 Denali pickup truck with the 3-liter LZO Duramax diesel engine. I can almost guarantee you that there are a lot of parts and a lot of components on this truck that are manufactured in China. Coachman Brookstone. Yeah, this is a pretty much US manufactured, US built product, just like almost all the other RVs you see on dealership lots in the US. About 99% of them are built or manufactured in the Elkhart, Indiana area by all sorts of manufacturers you may be well aware of, including Forest River products, Thor products, Winnebago products. A lot of stuff comes out of that area. Pretty much 100% manufactured and assembled in the US, with parts that are globally sourced, whether it's the wood, whether it's the components that go into the leveling system, whether it's the steel, all sorts of different parts of your US manufactured or US assembled RV actually come out of foreign countries, a lot of them China. But why am I making this video? Does it mean that I support Chinese manufacturing? No, not at all. I'm a huge fan of US manufactured products. I am a huge fan of supporting the folks that work here in the States, put their blood, sweat, and tears into products and turn out a great quality product. Does it automatically mean something built here in the US is going to be a higher quality product than something manufactured overseas in China? No, but for the most part, I think most Americans want to support manufacturing in their own country, just like I think most Australians want to support manufacturing in Australia, or most Europeans want to support manufacturing in their country as well. But the fact is, we're a global economy. Any way you slice it, as much as you may not support one country, or you may hate one country, or you may feel that we are at such odds with one country or another country or several countries that you never want to put your dollars towards that country and towards, I guess, feeding and housing people in those other countries versus here in the US, the fact is almost everything you use, almost everything you buy has some type of globally sourced components, or the entire thing was manufactured overseas. When we talk about different components that go into RVs, even though these are assembled here in the US, a large part of what goes into manufacturing an RV, the components that are brought in, are manufactured in China. Shoot, the cup you drink your water out of, the tumbler you use, the cooler you use, probably manufactured in China. The smartphone, again, that you are typing your comments on, just quickly bashing this video about supporting countries we don't like, was probably, well, there's a big chance that it was manufactured in China. Maybe the parts came from Vietnam. Maybe it was manufactured in South Korea, which is an ally of ours, so that's not that big of a deal. But if you're talking about supporting US jobs and US jobs only, and you're only going to buy stuff that supports US jobs, you might as well never buy an RV. or buy a vehicle, or buy a smartphone, or buy a TV, or buy a blender, or buy a toaster, or buy a pencil, or a pen, or a piece of paper, or a computer, or just about anything else, because almost everything you buy is going to have parts that are globally sourced. Now, you may say, well, I'm going to support a company that manufactures, they get their steel in the US, everything's done in the US. That's great that you're doing that, but here's something you may not know. The equipment that they're actually using to manufacture the parts is probably not 100% built here in the US. A lot of the circuit boards, a lot of the robotic equipment they use to actually put together the thing that you're buying that is built here in the US was actually globally sourced from companies like Germany, China, South Korea, all sorts of different places that provide parts and components to build machinery, robotics, and other things that are used to put together the things that you are buying that are American made. Why do I say all this? It's because, yeah, as much as it feels good to say that I'm buying something that was made in America, the reality is, if those companies didn't get their parts and their components from other countries, they couldn't likely supply you with the quantity or even the quality of product that you enjoy buying every single day. And I say all this not because, again, I'm trying to support foreign manufacturing. It's just because I understand foreign manufacturing. I understand the fact that no matter what you have, no matter what you buy, there is a high likelihood that at some point during the manufacturing process, the robots, the machinery, the microprocessing chips, the plastics, the steel, components were used that were globally sourced. And it's very, very difficult just to say, I'm going to buy something that was 100% sourced from the US and manufactured, unless you're going to buy fruit that wasn't imported from Mexico, unless you're buying something that was grown here, picked by Americans, put in a box that was manufactured with American machinery on an American assembly plant with American components, and, put together specifically and 100% sourced through channels that did not allow those products to come from overseas. But even then, there's probably at some point, some part during that manufacturing, that assembly process, that supply chain process that came from overseas. So as you type your messages up and you say, well, of course there's things that I can't avoid, keep in mind though, when you say that, you're automatically saying, I'm allowing myself to buy things that are manufactured overseas that I justify because I need. But whenever it's something that I don't need, like an RV, well, it's easy for me to criticize that. It's easy for me to say, well, because this product was manufactured overseas, or because a large part of it was manufactured in China, I'm not going to support them. But you are supporting them. Every single day you buy anything. That's all I'm saying. Every single day you pretty much buy anything, unless you live out in the mountains, you built your own home out of your own trees, you're cutting down your own firewood, you're growing your own plants, you're sewing your own clothes, you pick your own cotton, you put your own blankets together. Unless you're doing that yourself, you are very likely spending a lot of money supporting other countries whose economies thrive off of US manufacturers buying their products, selling them here, or using their products as part of a product that they build or manufacture here. Just keep that in mind. So again, when I talk about RVs, and we were talking about some of the brands like Conqueror who moved their manufacturing to China from South Africa, as well as Dweller, who is managed here in the United States but moved their manufacturing to China. They're doing it because they want to be able to provide you a product you can actually afford. It's great to say, I'm never going to buy an RV that's manufactured in China, but then realize that, man, I would love to own this RV, and I could never afford to own it if it were manufactured here in the States. Because it's manufactured in China, I'm still supporting hundreds of jobs here in the US, just the distribution, just getting it over here, the shipping industry, the port workers, the folks here that have to do final assembly and add parts to it, the dealerships here who are selling it, the people who live and work in the US that thrive or live off of the product that they had to import for cost reasons, bring into the United States and sell to you. You are supporting Americans every time you buy a product, unless you're getting that product shipped directly to you from overseas and you've bypassed every single import process, every single, shipment process, and you've just directly got it from overseas, and the entire experience was an overseas experience. So every time you watch a video and I talk about manufacturing, I ask the dealership to specifically tell me where this product was manufactured, because we didn't want to hide that from you. We don't want to make you feel like you're being, presented something falsely. That's the reason why my friend Shane over at ROA Off Road was very clear about where manufacturing took place. And in some cases, the manufacturing improved because they moved it over there. It doesn't mean that you're completely not supporting U.S. workers. And again, I am not making this video to say that I love buying stuff from China or I love buying stuff from other countries. Not at all. I just understand that it's inevitable. You're gonna do it. And in many cases, the only way some things remain affordable in this really crazy economy that we have is by doing some of that manufacturing overseas, where labor rates are so much less, where you just don't have to pay the premium price that most people aren't willing to pay to have something manufactured here in the States. If you are just driven to only buy stuff, you've boycotted everything built in China, again, you need to start dissecting the stuff that you currently own and the stuff that you buy every single day and the stuff that you have shipped to you that probably uses those globally sourced materials, is probably manufactured in China, and you probably will give it a pass because it's something you can't live without. Anyways, guys, again, I wasn't trying to make this video too long, but it's just one of those interesting facts that I think needs to be reiterated. I don't talk about Chinese-built RVs because I want you guys to go out and support another country and just buy Chinese-built RVs, but I want you to understand where things are built, and I want you to understand why things may be built there versus here, even though the management process and the oversight process is managed here in the US. I'm showing you my RV because it's in front of me, and this is a perfect example of it. Most of the manufacturing is done here in the US, but almost all the parts are globally sourced. So you have to keep that in mind. You don't want to say, I'm going to support a company that builds everything in China, but when you buy a product like this or any RV, you can say this is a USA built RV, even though my windows were probably made in China, even though my axles might have been made in China, even though my wheels might have been made in China. So you're buying that stuff. Right? When you buy the RV, you're buying everything. So you're buying hundreds, if not thousands of things that were manufactured in China just by buying an RV that was built here in the US. Just let that sink in for a little bit. Same goes when you buy a car, when you buy a pickup truck, when you buy a watch, when you buy almost anything else that you have, especially when you buy the things that you're watching this video on and using to comment on this video. Guys, I'd appreciate it if you took a moment, subscribe to my channel, even though this whole video was probably something that makes a lot of people cringe when they hear. Give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. I like talking about this stuff because, if anything, it just brings awareness around things some people may not think about all the time. Guys, we'll talk to you again very soon.